Hello, everybody. This is Paul, and we're reading the Bible here at Torah Life Ministries. Understanding the Word of our Creator is so important. And a lot of people read scriptures. They pick out certain scriptures they want to read, but we're reading the whole Bible here. And we're up to 2 more books left, and we've read the whole original covenant, meaning anytime you want, you can go back on this website, Torah Life Ministries, and just type in a book, and you can see my commentary about this information and also reading the word with us. So we're up to the introduction of the book of First Chronicles, and Chronicles is one of those books where they give a lot of family lines and a lot of names and stuff, and I always emphasize, even though if you can't pronounce the name, I believe it's important to say it. If our Creator wrote it, it's there for a reason, and we pick up some things. The more we read the scriptures, we see those insignificant things like the measurements, the cities, and the names of people. Comes up in our mind, where did I hear that before? And then we go and look at it and we say, oh, that's where. So it's always good to read it. So we're going to be doing that in this book. But in the introduction, I just want to introduce you to it. So let's open up with prayer here, as we should do every day. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Baruch Shem Kivo Mahuto Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our Elohim, Yahweh is one. And you should love Yahweh with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And have these words which I command you this day be upon your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, and speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you retire and when you rise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and let them be frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Okay, so here we go. I'm reading this. Well, we're not reading today. We're just going over the introduction to First Chronicles. And if you look at the order of books, First Chronicles was an historical record or a book of the children of Israel. And it was written by Ezra, according to Jewish history. And it's the last of the 2 books of the original covenant, also known as the Old Testament. That's one thing people don't understand, though. There's no old and new. There's original and renewed. And what you have to do is rip out that page that separates the Old from the New Testament. It's one great book. Yes, there was a good amount of time between both books, but it's still, you're only going to understand it when you understand that there are not 2 books, they're one book. And the purpose of this book of First Chronicle was to unify Yahweh's people, to trace the Davidic line, David's line, and to teach the genuine worship, or to be the center of the individual and the national life. Now, there's another historical series, First Kings and Second Kings, which looks at the historical line of the different kings of Israel and Jerusalem. This book focusing on all of the genealogy, all the way back to Adam and Genesis. It gets into it. So as we said, it was written by Ezra, and it was written to the exiles who returned from captivity. Understanding history. This is why the Bible is so important, because it's a historical book based on history. Some people say to me or ask me, how do you know Yeshua is real if there are no pictures, you've never seen him, there's no video of him? And I said, do you believe in Abraham Lincoln? And they said, yeah, he was a president. I said, have you ever seen a picture of him? Have you ever seen a video of him? Have you ever seen him personally? Well, why do you believe in him? Because history confirmed it. That's why. And so the historical books are so important. The date written of this was approximately 430 BC. It's recording the events that occurred from about 1000 to 960 BC. And the setting of First Chronicles, did I say Corinthians? The setting of First Chronicles here parallels 2 Samuel, and it serves as a commentary on it, written after the exile from the priestly point of view. First Chronicles emphasizes the religious history of Judah and Israel. And the key people here, as we're going to look at their line, was David and Solomon. So that's important. And so let's look and see a little bit more what it says. It says, in a wide shade of the ageless oak of a mother watches the toddler discover acorns, leaves, and uh, dandelions. Nearby, her mother, aunt, and uncle spread the checkboard cloth over the park tables and cover it with bowls and platters of fried chicken, potato salad, baked beans, and assorted family recipes. So this is from the New Living Testament's introduction. The clanging of grandpa and dad's horseshoes against the stakes regularly pierced the air and mixes with the cheers, laughs, and shouts of teenagers playing a game of touch football. A family reunion, a Sunday afternoon filled with 4 generations of miscellaneous kids, parents, and second cousins once removed. Reunions are important. They are times of touching and connecting with others from branches of the family tree, chasing one's personal history back through time and culture, seeing physical reminders, her eyes, his nose, recalling warm traditions, knowing one generic and rational path gives a sense to the identity and heritage and destiny. With the same high purpose, the writer of Chronicles begins his undefined work with an extensive genealogy. He traces roots of the nation of literally family reunion from Adam onward, recounting its royal line and loving plan of a personal creator. We read in 1 Chronicles 1 and gain a glimpse of Yahweh at work through the people for his family lines and the genealogies. If you are a believer, these people are your ancestors too. And you approach this part of Yahweh's word. As you do, read their names and in awe and respect and gain new sense of identity in your relationship with our Creator. The previous books in the scripture talks about Israel and Judah in captivity. Surely dark times and ages for Yahweh's people. Now we look here at Chronicles, 1st and 2nd Chronicles. They were originally one book written after the captivity. It summarized Israel's history, emphasizes the Jewish people's spiritual heritage, and attempts to unify the nation. The writer is selective in his history telling. Instead of writing an extensive work, he carefully weaves the narrative, highlighting spiritual lessons and teaching moral truths. Chronicles is the northern kingdom is virtually ignored. David's triumphs, not his sins, are recalled, and the temple is given great prominence as the vital center of national life. First Chronicles begins with Adam, and for 9 chapters, the writer gives us who's who of Israel's history, with special emphasis on David's royal line. The rest of the book tells the story of David, the great man of Yahweh, Israel's king, who served Yahweh and laid out the plans for the construction and the worship of the temple. First Chronicles is an inevitable supplement to 2 Samuel, a strong reminder that the necessary for tracing our roots and thus rediscovering our spiritual foundation. As you read First Chronicles, trace your own godly heritage. Thank Yahweh for your spiritual forefathers and recommit yourselves to passing on Yahweh's truth to the next generation. And in this book, it's broken up here into the blueprint of 2 parts. The 1st chapter to the 9th chapter talked about the ancestry of the nation, the tribes of Israel, and the people who returned from exile in Babylon. And then the rest of it, from 8 to chapter 29, discusses David becoming king over all Israel, and David brings the ark to Jerusalem, David's military exploits, and David arranging for the buildings of the temple. So we see here Israel's history. We see here Yahweh's people, and talking about David the king, and explaining true worship, and talking about the priest. That is the introduction for First Chronicles, and join us on this another great book of the scriptures as we go through them. All right, so we're going to read Chronicles now, First Chronicles and then Second Chronicles. Now keep in mind, the order of this book is different. In most common Christian Bibles today, it's not the last 2 books of the original covenant or the Old Testament. But those are incorrect. Those are not in the chronological order. If you get a good Hebraic root scripture Bible or pretty much a good Bible. Anyway, it's going to have the correct order, and 1st and 2nd Chronicles are going to be the last 2 books of the original covenant. All right, so now we'll proceed there, and praise our wonderful Creator that we have this record of history.